I want to welcome personally here to the birthplace of John Wayne, and that is Mr. Donald Trump. And hopefully for America, he'll be our next president of the United States. And the reason that I'm here to support Mr. Trump is because America needs help, and we need a strong leader, and we need someone like Mr. Trump with leadership qualities, someone with courage, someone that's strong, like John Wayne. And I'll tell you what, if John Wayne were around, he'd be standing right here instead of me. So with that, I just want you to welcome Mr. Donald Trump.
That is so, come on, get right next to me. John Wayne would be very, very proud of you right now. I think, maybe he would say, what are you doing? But John Wayne would be, and I'll tell you what, I've been a long-time fan. And this all began when I came here, and I was so fascinated, and I really didn't want to leave. There's so much to see. And I said, who put this all together? And it was put together by great love with yourself, your directors, everybody, and I see the kind of effort. And little did I know that you'd be endorsing me and supporting me. So I really appreciate it. This is such an honor today. You see what happens with the press. This is an amazing accumulation of press. We have 3 events today, and this is very important to me because of John and his whole legacy. I met him one time, and it made such an impression. When you talk about bigger than life, right? There aren't too many people bigger than life. Come to think of it, who do we have that's bigger than life today? I won't use some of the names of the actors, but not the same thing. Not the same thing. So it's an honor to be here. It's a tremendous honor to have your support and endorsement, and we really very much appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, would anybody else like to speak? Yeah, sure. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. That's excellent. Okay. Press, any questions? Yes, Jeremy? We have a tremendous event planned in a little while. That'll be our 3rd stop. This is our 1st stop. And again, I just have to say, I was such a fan of John Wayne, and the one meeting I had with him was just an amazing meeting. And it was toward the end of his life. He was just an incredible guy. He said some things to me that were very special. And so this is a very great honor. That'll be a very big event. I think you'll be very impressed. I'm a big fan of Sarah Palin, yes. That I won't say. I am a big fan of Sarah Palin, but I'm not saying who it is. Yes? Well, we'll talk about it later, I think. We'll talk about that later. But it's a very big event planned, and I think everyone's going to be very impressed. And nobody knows who it is, and that's fine. Yes, sir.
Mr. Trump, both Rush Limbaugh and Senator Ted Cruz are warning voters you may not be a real conservative. What do you say to that?
Well, I am a real conservative, and Rush has been terrific to me, and Rush has really been amazing to me. And I actually read what he said, and he's still amazing to me. So I appreciate everything Rush has done for me, 100%.
And the connection with John Wayne as far as voters wanting strength today, is there something symbolic here for you?
Well, there is, and at first I didn't feel that necessarily they'd come together like that. But when you think of it, John Wayne represented strength. He represented power. He represented what the people are looking today, because we have exactly the opposite from John Wayne right now in this country. And he represented real strength and an inner strength that you don't see very often. And that's why with this endorsement, it meant so much to me. And that's why we actually went very far out of our way to come and be with the family and the group and the director and to be right here because they've done such an incredible job. I mean, this really all started. I walked around and we were here and we got here a little bit early and I looked at everything. I said, they've done an incredible job. And I would imagine they will get a lot of people coming here, especially now with all of you characters. You're going to have a lot of people. Probably there'll be a rush to the front door tomorrow. You'll say, what happened? But he deserves it. John Wayne and the family, they deserve it. Yes.
What do you think the value of an endorsement is, whether it's John Wayne, Sarah Palin, whoever?
Well, I think endorsements are, depending on who, very valuable. I've never been a huge fan of endorsements. It's the candidate mostly. And I've seen very important people endorse others and, nothing happened. But I think, having a John Wayne and John Wayne family endorsement means a lot because it does mean that strength that you don't see. And I think you'll be impressed with the endorsement we get later on. Excuse me? I think so. It could. I think it could very well result in votes. We're doing very well. The polls just came out in South Carolina where, as you saw, I went up 4 points and Cruz went down 3 and most of the others sort of went down, and we're doing really well in South Carolina. That just came out. I guess there's a very big poll coming up today in New Hampshire that I hear is going to be released fairly soon. I don't know what the results are, but I just can tell you I'm doing very well in New Hampshire from every indication. Well, I think I feel very good about my ground game. We have a great group of people. Where's Chuck? Chuck, come here, Chuck. Get over here, Chuck. I'm going to put all the pressure on Chuck. Come here, Chuck. The question is, how do we feel about our ground game? Can Chuck answer that question, please? Because if he doesn't do good, Chuck, you're fired. Get up. How do you feel about your ground game?
Feel fantastic about the ground game. And I know we go radio silent on those things, but there's nothing about this campaign that's like all the rest or any of those in the past. We do things different, and we reach out to people that would normally be caught dead at caucus events. And so we feel really good about our chances. We feel really good about our reach, and I think you're going to have a surprise on caucus night. We don't advertise our caucus trainings, and we generally don't let you folks in because we're working. And it's not about you, it's about our ground game. We've had, just in the last week, 13 caucus trainings. Now, misreported in the media yesterday, wildly, horribly, that we had 12 people at that caucus training last Friday. It was 120, and you all know it. But no one corrected it. 120. No. So that's why we don't talk to you folks all that much about our ground game, because you're welcomed in, we let your cameras in, and then you misreport it anyway. So I'm getting off on I'm a big fan of John Wayne.
Better than we like you people, believe me.
Oh, yeah.
He was strong and he was honest. We like that better. And one of the things I like about Chuck, he doesn't want to bother with the press because he gets so misrepresented, and so do we. And he doesn't want to bother with the press. But, because I've seen things that he said, and then they totally misrepresent. I think we have a great ground game. I think we're going to have a great shot at winning Iowa. I hope we win Iowa. We're going to give it our best. We're even in the polls. We're up in some of the polls. Sarah, in your poll, we're substantially up on CNN. We're 33-20. But nobody ever talks about that poll. Chuck, they never talk about the CNN poll, right? No. Even CNN doesn't talk. They don't report their own poll. CNN does a poll. They spend a fortune on it, and they don't talk about it because the numbers were too good. So we're reading other polls that CNN has nothing to do with. So you'll have to figure that one out, Sarah, okay? I think I have it figured out pretty well. But anyway, yes. My goal is just to win if we can, and I think we're going to do very well in Iowa. We have a great relationship with evangelicals, with the Tea Party, with everybody in Iowa, and I think we're going to do really well in Iowa, and, I guess a lot of other people think we're going to do really well. It's a question, will we win it or not? I hope we win. It would be a lot easier for me to say, well, I just want to do well. I'd really like to win. And don't forget, Iowa hasn't picked that winner for 16 years. If they pick somebody other than me, they're going to pick another loser, okay? So I want to see Iowa win. And I think it's very important that Iowa picks the right person this time. And, they've had a rough 16 years, but we are going to win. We're beating Hillary in many of the recent polls, substantially in some, and we're going to win. We're going to bring in states like New York that are never in play for Republicans, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Ohio we're going to win. We're going to win Florida. We're going to win a lot of states. West Virginia, I hear, is like through the roof for Trump. They just came out with a poll. But we're going to bring a lot of states in that a traditional politician is never going to even go to visit. And we're going to win. I think we have a really good chance as an example of New York State. So we'll see what happens. Yes. Yeah. Well, I did very well. I did very well with the Taj Mahal. Made a lot of money. All right, who else?
Why did you not like that story? Why did you threaten to sue the reporter who did that story? If it's ancient history.
Oh, I always like to threaten to sue reporters because I think they're among the most dishonest people I've ever dealt with in my life. So usually, and sometimes I do actually say, no, reporters, who are you with, by the way?
I'm with Reuters.
Oh, good. Oh, great, great. I don't recognize you. No, I threaten to sue reporters only when they're dishonest. Actually, there are some reporters I have great respect for. Hard to believe. Yeah, it was a little bit inaccurate, but it's irrelevant. I did very well with it, as you probably noticed. Yes, go ahead. Well, it's a shame what's happening in Flint, Michigan. A thing like that shouldn't happen. But again, I don't want to comment on that. They've got a very difficult problem, and I know the governor's got a very difficult time going. But, you know, I shouldn't be commenting on Flint. Yes.
Last week, going on the offensive against Ted Cruz. Yesterday, you were tweeting about him, but at neither of your events yesterday, neither at Liberty nor in the afternoon, did you mention Ted Cruz by name. Is that what can we?
Well, no. At some point, I will. We had a tremendous event yesterday at Liberty. We had the highest attendance they've ever had. In fact, Dr. Falwell just announced that a little while ago. He just announced it was the highest attendance they've ever had at an event. And you saw nobody says that. You know, it's interesting. Bernie Sanders had like 3,000 people the other day at an event, and they said, oh, what a big crowd. I had 14 or 15,000 at a different event. Nobody talked about the size of my crowd. It's an incredible thing that goes on here. But, no, it wasn't appropriate to mention him. And then in the second part of the event, it wasn't really appropriate. But at the right point, people understand, and people understand.
Was it because you were in front of an evangelical crowd?
No, not at all, because I was in front of a very large crowd, and I didn't want to speak about other people. But that was an amazing event yesterday at Liberty. I was really happy with it. And Dr. Falwell just announced a little while ago it was the biggest attendance they've ever had in the history of Liberty University. So I'm very happy with that. Sarah, did you have another one?
Yeah, Mr. Trump, today Ted Cruz is questioning essentially your temperament, saying, do we want someone like Donald Trump dealing with international crises? Is he just going to take to Twitter and fire off a place?
Well, I think I have a great temperament. In fact, if you notice, I'm the only one that didn't want to go into Iraq. Okay, you know, people are always surprised that Trump didn't want to go. And I'm the most militaristic of any of them, feel stronger about the military than anybody. But if you go back to Reuters in 2004, or even before that, you'll see Trump did want to go into Iraq because I said it's going to totally destabilize the Middle East, and I'm absolutely right. So when you talk about temperament, Ted has got a rough temperament. I don't know. You can't call people liars on the Senate floor when they're your leader. It's not a good thing to do if you want to sort of curry favor and get the positive votes later on down. So Ted is worried about his temperament, and people are talking about his temperament. I haven't talked about his temperament, but he's got to be careful because his temperament is, you know, has been questioned a lot. Oh, I think I'd work great. In fact, I will say this. Because we're leading so big in virtually every poll, and after the debate performance, where I think you will say almost everybody said Trump won, is that a correct statement, Sarah? A strong debate. Okay, well, most people said I won, and I think you believe that too. But I will say that we have been contacted by so-called establishment types. Maybe that's a bad thing. That could be a bad sign. I'm not sure I'm happy about it. But we've been complimented and by so many people, and we've been contacted by the establishment types. They all want to know, how do they get involved with the campaign? They're giving up on their candidates, and how do they get in? And I mean, these are real establishment people that I've known when I was a member of the establishment, and meaning a giver, a big donor. But they are contacting us, Corey, I think we can say that very honestly. They're contacting us left and right about joining the campaign, and these are serious establishment types. I also said just now, Corey, I'm not sure that's a good thing or a bad thing, frankly. And I don't even care that much. It doesn't matter. We want to just, very simple, make America great again. So I'll see you folks in a little while, and I'll see you specifically at our third meeting where we're going to have a good time. Thank you. And we love John Wayne. We love John Wayne, and we love his family equally, right? Equally. And thank you very much. Thank you.